Hi guys, this is Demonic Trilogy here, and I'm here to bring you a spoiler of Kiora the Crashing Wave. Now, she's already been spoiled for 2 weeks, and I realize that this is kind of old news, but I still wanted to bring up my opinion toward how I felt she would adapt to MTG in the current meta. Now, I'm going to go over her stats first, and then I'll talk about my opinion of her in the meta. I'm sure a lot of you have already gone through her stats though, so yeah. You can probably skip half the video, I guess, to get to the part where I discuss her. So, for starters, she has two colorless, one green and one blue for a 4 converted mana cost planeswalker, and she has 2 loyalty. 2 is pretty low, I'll discuss that later, but for now I'm just going to continue on with the stats. So her first ability is a +1. Until your next turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by target permanent opponent controls. So individually, this is just negating an opponent's creature from actually dealing damage to either you or to her. And plussing her only puts her into 3 range, so this would only probably be most effective against large creatures that are attacking, since there aren't really any other sources of damage right now that are not creatures. That would, yeah, kill planeswalkers. Her next ability is a -1, draw a card. You may play an additional land this turn. This is pretty much Explorer. Explorer was 1 colorless and 1 green mana for the same exact ability, so her ability is just Explorer. Explorer was really good, and it still will be, but I do have to question how practical it would be considering how low her loyalty is. Her final ability is you get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step, put a 9/9 blue Kraken creature token onto the battlefield. Now this is pretty good because at the end of your turn you immediately get board presence from her ultimate, whereas in the beginning of your upkeep your opponent still has 1 chance to actually kill you. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good ultimate, but when judging planeswalkers, you typically don't aim at their ultimate, because usually planeswalkers only stay on the board for about 1 or 2 turns. So now I'm going to go over her overall and my opinion of her in the current meta, and I guess a little bit of speculation, but nothing really that great because a lot of this set hasn't been spoiled yet, so you really can't take something out of context. So, for starters, I do think her 2 loyalty is pretty low for a 4 converted mana cost planeswalker. You have Jace of Architect of Thought, who starts with 4, and he can plus himself into 5 while defending himself pretty well. And currently, the aggro matchups are going to be primarily swarming, so you're going to have a lot of White Weenie, or Red Deck Winds, or Boros mixes of that sort, and maybe even Orzhov aggro. All of which have very, very numerous amount of creatures attacking you at once. So, when comparing her to Jace of Architect of Thought, I would definitely have to say that right now she doesn't really fit that kind of a stalling mindset a control deck would like, since she can't really defend herself from multiple targets, whereas Jace can. So, yeah, again, a lot of Jace comparisons, but I'm sure because they both compete for the 4 converted mana cost slot in control decks, it's pretty easy to see why. Her -1 ability will always be good. I think it's just the problem with her loyalty going down to 1 if she activates it. So I'm not exactly seeing her as too effective in terms of digging for answers, but it's still card advantage, and Explorer was a really good ability back then, so I don't see any problem with her -1. So overall, I think Kiora right now, before we really see Born of the Gods, is really weak in comparison to Jace, Architect of Thought. So I really have to wonder exactly why R&D made her only 2 loyalty, because something in there had to make them say, we have to make this planeswalker have really low loyalty compared to the other 4 converted mana cost planeswalkers. So I really have to wonder exactly why they did that. I can see her doing well in a mid-range format where you are able to alternate between next turn Fog and drawing a card for Explore. So I can see that once Theros slows down the format to the point where aggro is no longer a major concern, I can see mid-range getting dominated by this card, since fogging a huge creature is pretty good, and then dealing with it during your next turn or during their turn, and then drawing a card when they don't have any more threats, it can be a really good give or take on her loyalty. My problem, though, is that she just dies to a lightning strike the minute she gets played. So she probably wouldn't do very well against red deck wins, but we'll have to see with Born of the Gods constantly getting spoiled. So yeah, that's my thoughts on her. I think she does do well in a mid-rangey format, and her card advantage is pretty relevant in a control matchup, since Jace only digs you 2 answers and doesn't allow you to play an additional land. So really, it allows you to outrace control decks in pretty much land races where you're trying to get to the 7, 6 drop range where most win cons start getting played in that matchup. So yeah, overall, I think right now the format's just a little too fast for her to really make an impact, but I'm sure once Theros slows it all down, she'll be definitely making waves. Yeah, so, yeah, that is my review on her, and I know the spoiler, again, is pretty late, but honestly, I just thought, yeah, to throw that out there, because currently a lot of people just flat out hate her, and I still think that she does have a place in the format. So, yeah, comment below and discuss on what you think, whether or not you agree or disagree with me, anything that you want me to possibly add in, and yeah. I look forward to continuing to make these videos and to continue giving you spoiler content. If you have any suggestions on what you want me to spoil, since I probably won't cover all of them, please leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to look through those. So yeah, thank you very much. This is Demonic Trilogy and I'll see you next time.